तच्छंयोरावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजम् शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शञ्चतुष्पदे.
Namaste and welcome to our YouTube channel Hinduism Journey to Self-Discovery, and today we're going to talk to Dr. Shankar Subramaniam about the topic of Karma Yoga or the path of action. So namaste Dr. Shankar. So first of all, I just wanted to ask what this particular theme of Karma Yoga is about on the YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, certainly. So Karma Yoga literally translates to the path of action, like you said. Yeah, karma is action in Sanskrit. Although in a deeper sense, in the yoga sense, it can even mean just the thought itself. Nevertheless, we know that we all have to act, right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that in order to complete this tour of the body, as it were, Sharira Yatra, a person has to act, right? So the question is then, however, what is action? And what is good action, what is recommended action, what is forbidden action, and these things Bhagavan Shri Krishna says in the Gita are they're very deep questions, and he says even the wise have disagreements on this, right? Nevertheless, the Bhagavad Gita does give us some guidance as to what is sort of useful action on the path, so that we may purify the mind. And so this Karma Yoga section in our channel here is to introduce aspirants to those kind of practices. And technically they fall under the heading of Nitya Karma, or the daily practices. And so we will talk a little bit about the daily prayer, the sandhyavandanam of the Sanatana Dharma, and even auxiliary practices such as Upakarma. And the goal in that particular section is to talk about the real meaning. Why are we doing these things? So, if you take ritual, and these are all technically Vedic ritual, people have like three reactions to it. Right? One is they don't understand what it's all about, in which case you kind of just, you ignore it, or you think it's some sort of a superstitious practice. A very rare few are attracted to it, which is wonderful, I think. And then some others may just outright be indifferent or reject it. And to be very honest, to share with you my own experience. So I was brought up in a family where I was trained to learn many of these rituals. And but as a young person, I actually did not have a lot of attraction or faith in them, belief in them, mainly because I could not understand them. And when I asked for explanations, they were scant. People tried, honestly, but they were not able to explain many of these things to me. And so for a while, like many amongst us, I thought that ritual is probably unnecessary. I mean, why, right? You can have knowledge, and that's enough. But when one truly embarks on the practice of yoga, Raja Yoga, and you get an intimate knowledge of this experience that is the goal, then it becomes clear that this ritual is in fact very meaningful, and it's very useful, and it's a very practical way on the spiritual path to cleanse the mind. So I think the trick is to have at least provisional faith that this is good, right? And then to learn its meaning and its explanation, why it's done, from somebody who knows is very useful. And then I think if one practices, it has a very transformative effect. So that's the purpose of this section, is to bring people into knowing the true meaning of these things. Yeah.
And you touched upon it a little bit. And from my understanding, is Karma Yoga does not alone take you to the final goal. I might be wrong. So why would one go through this path and not go through the other?
That's a very good point. Yeah. So exactly. So it is true. Your understanding is spot on. that Karma Yoga will take one as far as we say, Svarglok. But then that is not final liberation. I think in one of the earlier discussions, I mentioned that think of it as in mathematics, it's a necessary but not a sufficient condition. In the sense, you have to do it, but by alone, it's not enough. All right. So, and that's its importance. So, I believe it's very important. It's necessary. Um, and so, why should one do it? It's because that without it, one is not able to purify the mind in order to access the final goal through the other paths, if you know what I mean. So one can study the texts and follow the path of Gyan, but if the ego is not purified through action, and this is a theme that you see in so many. If you go to any kind of a seer, there's always an aspect of seva in an ashram. So some sort of service, and this is a daily practice, which is a kind of service. Right?
Can you say it's like a starting point to the journey?
I would say it's both the starting and the ending point, because after one has the experiences that are the goal, then one comes back and realizes that this is the best action to be performing that expresses that truth. And one starts to actually enjoy and experience the bliss in those practices. So in one of the videos, I think we talk about the power of Vedic chanting. And later, this karma is not an imposition anymore. Rather, you see it as a very necessary expression of that, the bliss. So, yeah.
And on this channel, we are going to talk more about what these rituals mean and what their significance is. But I was just wondering, is there a value in doing these without knowing the true meaning?
Another excellent question. Indeed, there is. So this is again a bit paradoxical. And to be honest, in my younger and more ignorant days, I did not see this. That because all my elders used to say, just do it. The doing itself has a value, and I could not grasp that. But I think now that I do understand it, it does. The rishis have designed these practices in such a fantastic way that even if intellectually one doesn't understand their meaning, the physical actions, they have a mechanism to cleanse the mind and the pranic body and the physical body and prepare it for the experience. If it is done with knowing the meaning, then it's multiplied manyfold that benefit. Right? But there is a benefit even without knowing the meaning, indeed. Yes.
So it does purify the mind and eventually take an individual to the stage where they are more curious to learn more.
That's absolutely the right way of putting it. I think
That's good. That's good. So if anybody wants to make more use of what we have on this channel, the resources, how can they go about it?
Yeah, so we've already got an online Sandhyavandanam group going, at least for the next couple of months, and the hope is that it will continue. So someone could sign up for that, but I think first probably even just watching the videos on the inner meaning can draw someone towards that. I think there can be some benefit, and then probably slowly through interacting with the community here is to adopt a daily practice for oneself and then start to gain the benefit from that.
Is there an intended audience for this, or anybody can just
I would really like anyone who is sincere in their heart to explore this, to feel comfortable, to gain from it, benefit from it.
And there will be something for men and women both.
Indeed, yes. So in general, there is no restriction as such, but there are certain practices that are more traditionally associated for men and for women, and I think we will have something for women as well. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar. And any final thoughts or reflections before we end?
So I just hope that those who may have a sort of an idea that they don't know anything about the ritual, or that somehow this is very foreign to them, even if they were born in a Hindu family or brought up in the Hindu tradition of Sanatana Dharma, I hope they'll feel comfortable with exploring this and actually then come to a realization that these are incredibly valuable for both individuals, but also the community as a whole, and in that way, all of humanity. So that's really how these were intended. And I think if people can come to see that and benefit from it, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar, for taking the time to share your knowledge with us. And we'll be seeing more of Dr. Shankar. So stay tuned and namaste.
ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः